And it was on this day, the third anniversary of the Pulwama terror attack, that Rahul Gandhi chose to say that he will continue to question the government on Pulwama. This is, of course, based on the insinuation that has taken root since then that Pulwama somehow helped the Modi government come to power because it allowed the government to conduct the Balakot airstrikes and then basically project the Mazboot Neta metaphor that convinced the people of India to vote the BJP back to power once again in 2019. But Rahul Gandhi was not alone, because a person, KCR, who once called him a buffoon in 2018, has now jumped to Rahul Gandhi's support and said what Rahul Gandhi is doing is absolutely right. They've both united now to demand proof. On this day, 3 years ago, the most devastating terror attack hit Kashmir's Pulwama. 40 CRPF Jawans massacred by a suicide bomber of the Jaish-e-Mohammed. And on its third anniversary today, at least two big netas thought it's a fine day for some politics.
There is nothing wrong with Mr. Rahul Gandhi on asking for the proof of surgical strike. What was wrong? Even now I am asking. Come on, let the government of India show. It is the responsibility. There are apprehensions among the people.
That's Telangana's Chief Minister KCR demanding proof for the 2016 surgical strikes which followed the Uri terror attack. Well, this right after the Congress's de facto chief Rahul Gandhi used the Pulwama anniversary to revive his doubts about the attack, saying he would continue to demand answers from the Modi government. Rahul's way of insinuating that Pulwama politics helped Modi win 2019. KCR's sudden support of Rahul Gandhi's Pulwama doubts is in stark contrast to 2018, when he called the then Congress president a buffoon.
मैं क्या राहुल गांधी क्या फैक्टर जी मालूम है सबको दुनिया में the biggest buffoon in the country, everybody knows. There is nothing wrong with Mr. Rahul Gandhi on asking for the proof of surgical strike. What was wrong? Even now I am asking. Come on, let the government of India show. It is the responsibility. There are apprehensions among the people.
A day of mourning and remembrance ripped apart by politics, the centre has now lashed back at KCR.
हजूर के बोल बिगड़े नजर आते हैं। अभी तो एक चुनाव हारे, उसके बाद ये हालत है। इससे साफ दिखाई देता है कि तेलंगाना में केसीआर जी और टीआरएस की जमीन खिसक रही।
40 personnel were massacred on this day in 2019 in Pulwama's Lethpura, one of India's darkest chapters and one that no Jawan will ever forget.
हम लोग यहाँ श्रद्धांजलि देने आए हैं हमारे जो जवान शहीद हुए हैं उनकी पुण्यतिथि पर, और बहुत दुख की बात है कि हम लोग अपने इन साथियों को आज याद करना पड़ रहा है।
बड़ी दुख की बात है कि हमारे बीच के जो साथी लोग हैं जो आज हमारे इस दुनिया से अपना बाल बच्चा सारे को छोड़ के नहीं है, तो हमको बड़ा अफसोस आता है कि हमारे जवान ऐसे देश के लिए अपना जान न्यौछावर कर देता है। तो उसके बाद उपलक्ष्य में हम लोग सभी प्रत्येक 14 फरवरी को हम लोग अपना शहीद जवानों को हम लोग याद करते हैं।
Time and again, the opposition has doubted India's military missions, demanding proof. With 5 states going to the elections and the big national election 2 years away, who benefits most from such politics? With Ashish Pandey in Hyderabad and Sunil G. Bhatt in Jammu, Bureau Report, India Today. Okay, the big questions we're asking. Now, Rahul Gandhi has demanded this kind of proof in the past as well. But KCR is the big surprise here, because KCR has jumped in to support Rahul Gandhi, who is basically a leader who he intemperately once called a buffoon during the 2019 campaign. But these are the questions we're asking today. Why is KCR doing this now? Is he setting the stage to play a role as kingmaker in 2024? Is he just creating the mood for that, sending out feelers to the Congress party? KCR, does he no longer, think that Rahul Gandhi is someone worth abusing like he once did in 2018, calling him a buffoon? Is this a response to the BJP's growing clout in Telangana for some reason? Is this KCR's way of trying to lash out at the BJP? Is this, as many believe, is this a political fixed match between the TRS and the BJP to somehow embarrass the Congress, which is the main opposition in Telangana? Is this KCR's new "Main Delhi aa raha hoon" mission? Is he basically signaling a KCR versus Modi kind of dynamic in the road to 2024? So many different questions coming in. Rahul Gandhi has made such attacks in the past as well, but KCR adding to it today on the anniversary of Pulwama makes this politically intriguing and tantalizing me. Joining me live now, Krishank Mane of the Telangana Rashtra Samiti. Radhika Khera is a spokesperson of the Congress party and Tom Vadakan is a spokesperson of the BJP. Welcome to you all. Krishank, to you first. Many are wondering what has changed, for KCR. A person who he once very angrily and very intemperately called a buffoon on camera is now, something of a darling. KCR is saying what Rahul Gandhi is doing is absolutely right. He seems to have completely changed his mind about Rahul Gandhi.
Well, Shiv, firstly, from TRS, on behalf of TRS, we pay our respects on the Pulwama attack day to the martyrs. Shiv, the point is clear, Shiv. We cannot compare to electoral campaigns on what KCR spoke then and on what he gave derogatory comments which are not acceptable in politics. Why did this actually start? On the garb of surgical strikes or nationalism, you cannot demean by asking a widow lady who is her husband. You cannot ask a parliamentarian who is your father. Is that the right statement?
But why?
And for that they bring in the
Krishank,
surgical strikes.
but KCR has never commented on this issue in the past. Why now?
See, point one. If our nationalism is at question, let me remind you, Shiv, that
no, it's not in question. I'm just asking what has changed politically. Because most people.
No, I'm not saying.
I'll tell you why. Krishan. I for one will never question any politician's nationalism. Nobody can give anybody certificates on nationalism. We are all Indians. We all love our country.
It's our responsibility to remind. Shiv, I'd like to take this opportunity to remind that our government announced 25 lakhs to the martyrs of Pulwama.
No, that is fine. All that is fine. Those are details. Those are details. Nobody's questioning the TRS's love for Jawans, Krishank, for God's sake. I'm not questioning that. I am simply saying KCR has never, for 3 years now, KCR has never said anything about surgical strikes. He's never said anything questioning the Pulwama proof. Why has he suddenly, on the back of Rahul Gandhi's tweet now, launched this attack on the Modi government? People are seeing this politically. People are not seeing this as an issue of principle.
See, because politicians are being abused and dead people who have served for this nation are being humiliated, and coming this and bringing surgical strikes into politics, using it for campaign, using Rawatji's pictures in Uttarakhand and bringing surgical strikes while elections are on. Why relate all these things? If there is a debate on surgical strikes, let there be a debate. But you abuse late Shri Rajiv Gandhi ji. We do not have any political ambitions or any linkage with Congress party. But as a parliamentarian, yes, as politicians, we have to stand by, be it Rahul Gandhi ji or any ABC. Someone who insults a late former Prime Minister and his family members, that is wrong.
This is interesting.
And now bringing it and, speaking about nationalists, anti-nationalists and all these things.
This is very interesting. This is very interesting. Radhika, I want to bring you in because, there are two aspects to look at here. Okay, the surgical strikes politics appears to be only the weapon towards a larger message here. One thing is Telangana itself, the other is 2024. The big elephant in the room, of course, is 2024. We all know that the TRS and Congress have been, there is no love lost between these two parties, especially in Telangana. We've seen, the hostility between the TRS government and the Congress party under Revant Reddy in Telangana in the past as well. What has changed? How are you seeing KCR's, very soft words for Rahul Gandhi? You must be very happy about that. Things are changing before 2024.
See, it is not hidden from anyone that the TMC has been that the KCR party has been an ally of the BJP in the past. Now, what they are saying and what they are not saying, their spokesperson will be able to answer that better. But I want to put something forward over here. We have the Shahenshah of Lies coming out. As soon as there are elections anywhere in the country, there are certain issues that come up. There will be one. Religion will come up and the army will come up. Now they will go on to say that Rahul Gandhi ji has questioned surgical strikes. We have said that there have no surgical strikes that have been taking place. I would like to show you on your channel an article by the India Today website itself, which says that in the first 28 months, Rahul Gandhi praises Modi for surgical strikes in POK. So that, since I'm on your channel only, so I thought I should show you an article from the same news. Now, we have seen that time and again that Narendra Modi ji and the BJP have always questioned the valor of our सैनिक. Have they not? When they say that इससे पहले कभी भी surgical strike नहीं हुई, so any surgical strike that happened in the country, whether it was 21st January 2020, 18th September 2003, 19th June 2008, 30th August and 1st September 2011, 27th and 28th July 2013, etc., etc. There have been many surgical strikes.
But not of this depth.
Our Sainiks have always held fort and have always fought bravely. We have never had such a government in power, such a helpless government in power, जो हमेशा ये बोलती थी, we will show लाल आग दिखाऊंगा चीन को. What is happening?
But
we are only
what did
For the past 2 years, we are only banning apps.
With your permission, what did Rahul Gandhi say? No, everyone should question the government. The military is not beyond question. I'm a defense correspondent. I'm executive editor of India Today. And let me say very firmly here, nobody, not the Prime Minister, not the government, not the army, not the military, are beyond questions from citizens. Let me make that very clear. But I just want to ask you, what did Rahul Gandhi mean when, he was doing a Shraddhanjali tweet on the Pulwama attack, on the day of the Pulwama attack? What did he mean by saying that we will continue to ask the government for questions? Because that is being interpreted, for answers I mean, that is being interpreted as him, insinuating that Pulwama was somehow something that was used by the Modi government to win the 2019 election, which has been, one of the political theories since that election defeat. What did Rahul Gandhi mean by that? Is he demanding proof?
Well, it's very simple. Many committees have been formed since the Pulwama attack. And there were many questions that needed to be answered. How and when and why did that happen? Amit Shah ji is very, very interested and goes on to say that Prime Minister's security has been hampered, but they forget that they are the ones who invited Pakistan into our airbase and thank them for the investigation they carried out. We still do not know how and when and why Pulwama happened and why was the Prime Minister busy in his Discovery channel or whatever channel he was working with that time. That question will be asked. What happened to that committee? The nation wants to know, why did we lose our armed forces? Why did we lose our Senate? Why did a small child, a wife, lose her husband because of an incapable government in the center? If you ask them a question, let's just 30 seconds. If you ask them a question, now you have their ministers and chief ministers coming up and saying, कि अरे राहुल गांधी का बाप कौन है? This is what the country has voted Narendra Modi.
That's a separate issue.
It is linked to this. They are questioning the surgical strike.
I understand that. Yes, we have that. I'll pull out that.
Answers about Pulwama, but they will come and question whose father. Haddi ho rahi hai. They have to hide their incompetence. Elections are there, so now they will start B6. They will not talk about Rozgar. They will not talk about unemployment. They will not talk why Pakistan was there at
Tom Varakar, Rahul Gandhi asking questions about Pulwama, legitimate questions being asked. The Congress says, why are you running and hiding, creating politics out of the military and then refusing to answer questions about the surgical strikes in Pulwama? You heard what Radhika Kera, your former colleague, has said. Answer her, Tom.
Shiv, I do not feel touched by this kind of activities. 20 years and counting, I left this party, the Congress party, on Pulwama and the surgical strike. I left everything. I left my career because I felt that I stood with the army. I believed in them. And that was the reason why I stepped out. This is personal. Now, as to KCR, you look at the methodology he has adopted. First, he says the Constitution of India needs to be rewritten. Okay. Then he comes out with this whole concept that Pulwama and strategy and the surgical strike, he needs evidence. And then earlier he had said that Rahul Gandhi is a buffoon. It is not the Bharatiya Janata Party who called him a buffoon. It was this particular gentleman who is the current Chief Minister of Telangana who called him a buffoon. Then he went on to say that this is the Delhi Sultanate, which is normally also called the slave dynasty. Has he joined in with the slave dynasty to replace that buffoon are questions in public mind? These are strategies that this man is adopting. It's a sinking ship that you have in Telangana. The ship is sinking, so he thinks there's another ship which is sinking anyway. He wants to be the captain of that ship, and he's trying to replace Rahul Gandhi and get into the opposition seat and form an opposition line so that he also ran kind of a situation. These are strategies these gentlemen invent.
Okay.
And we in the public are expected to believe all this.
So basically, Krishank, what Tom is saying, and this is a view held by many others because of the things that Mr. KCR had said during the 2019 campaign as well, is that he fancies himself as a kingmaker. And this message about Pulwama is not so much about Pulwama, but this is about an opposition space and a larger role for KCR in the run-up to 2024. Because, see, we can sit here and argue till kingdom come about surgical strikes in Pulwama, but those are actually minor issues compared to what KCR is actually aiming at. Answer what Tom Badakan has said.
Shiv, in 2019, Congress Party, which was the prime opposition, and in fact they allied with Mr. Babu Naidu, and there was political turmoil. Straight face. The fight was between Congress, and it was represented by Mr. Rahul Gandhi. Here we've given political criticism, unlike Bharatiya Janata Party, which wants to defend itself, that they will drag family members who are not alive also. That is their defense. I leave it to them. I leave it to their and their ethics. Now, if the Bharatiya Janata Party is shaken by a chief minister who is raising the constitutional crisis by 8 years rule of the Modi Sarkar, that means they are. Let me remind them, Modi also has raised the rank of a chief minister. We are voicing out on the flaws of this rule. And it started from the eight budgets. We have failed. And we are rising up and answering, Shiv.
Okay.
Our chief minister has the face to take questions, unlike running away by Mr. Modi, who has never taken any questions.
No, but
not those orchestrated interviews which he gives to selected people. We are raising questions. We are speaking up. Yes, if the voice has to be coming out for the youth of the nation, or for the people, for all states.
Radhika, I do want to draw you in on this. You know, you've made your point about the surgical strikes politics, but I do wish to get your word on the political dynamics of the TRS kind of supporting the Congress party here, because these are strange bedfellows. You know, it's not unheard of in politics, but everything has significance in the road to 2024. Is the Congress also seeing that?
See, what we have seen in the past few years, and right now also what we are seeing is utter desperation on part of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his party, unending frustration and sheer nervousness. And they're seeing that they're losing elections in the next 5. I can guarantee you today on your channel, Shiv, that in the 5 elections, the results are going to be 0 for Bharatiya Janata Party. Whoever forms the government does not form the government, but the BJP is not forming the government.
But you're not answering my question, Radhika.
So, I'm coming to that. Now, when it comes to what the TRS is saying, what KCR is saying or not saying, again, I leave it to his party and his spokesperson. I am no one to comment right now. If they are taking a stand on certain things, well, that's really good, and we welcome that stand, because anyone who is questioning real facts. We have seen how the Prime Minister and the BJP are playing on the army, and they are giving a pat on their back for themselves. Ki humne ye kar diya, humne wo kar diya. They do not care about the army. They do not care about the morale of our jawans. They have left our jawans to die. We've seen that in Pulwama. We've seen that in Pathankot. We've seen that in Gurdaspur. They only care about their votes. And I would also like to ask Tom Vadakan ji a question over here. He said that he left the Congress party. Tom ji, I have worked with you for many years, and you said you left the party because you were very upset about what happened in Pulwama and all the surgical strike questions and everything. 40 CRPF jawans died in the Pulwama attack. We still don't know kya hua, kab hua, kaise hua. So many committees were formed. The nation has got no answers. Does it not hurt you? You have worked with the Congress party. You have played holy with Sonia ji, Rahul ji. Did it not hurt you when the name of her husband, the name of her son's father was questioned?
Yeah, go ahead, Tom. That's a direct question. You can answer that. Let Tom answer that.
I would like to remind Radhika that she needs to update on certain facts. The NIA filed an FIR naming Mr. Umar Farooq the mastermind of this operation. He was liquidated by our defense forces, and every attempt has been made to count each and every one involved in it. The process is on.
Okay.
Nothing has been dropped. I can assure you that the Bharatiya Janata Party government and the Prime Minister will not spare any individual involved in that attack. The mastermind has been liquidated. His name happens to be, he's the Jaish commander, Umar Farooq. So let that be very clear. Action has been taken, and we are not saying that's the last word. We are further involved in eliminating every element who harmed our forces and got into this extremist kind of an activity.
Okay.
This is not an activity which is between two countries. This is an internally planned activity that happened. Now you're asking about Pakistan. We showed great respect for them. We showed them all the details. And after that, we have liquidated the mastermind. Radhika, check your records.
Okay.
Ask them to pick up the archives and check it out. We have done everything possible.
And you're saying Pakistan is not involved. It's internal.
No, that's not what he said is that they were invited to provide information. I'm almost out of time. I just want to say, Krishank, you want 20? Let me give 20 seconds to each of my guests. Yeah, Krishank, quick, 20 seconds. Coming to you, Radhika.
Now, the intention is clearly out. See, one thing, we, the Indian Armed Forces, their bravery, they continue to fight, be it with Pakistan or be it with China. But what does the Prime Minister do? He goes have a sip of tea with the Pakistan Prime Minister, swings with the Chinese Premier, and then again goes, says, Ab ki baar Trump ki sarkar. Absolute strategic failure. Failure. And they want to take the credits of the Indian Armed Forces. We say, leave the credits to Indian Armed Forces. Don't bring politics. Don't drag them. Don't take the credits. And
I'm only left wondering. See, the political journalist in me is left wondering why KCR has raised this only now. Uri happened in 2016. Pulwama happened in 2019. But KCR is only strategically saying this now. 20 seconds, Radhika. Last word to you.
See, since you've been covering the armed forces, I'm sure you would also agree with me. Denigrating and discrediting our armed forces will only bring their moral down. We should never discredit our armed forces and say कि आज तक ये कभी नहीं हुआ. As a nation, you deserve to know, I deserve to know, every voter of this country, every child of this country deserves to know पुलवामा में क्या हुआ, कब हुआ, कैसे हुआ. विश्व प्रसिद्ध प्रधानमंत्री है, 3 साल क्यों लग गए भाजपा को? अभी तक कोई जवाब नहीं मिले और हम सवाल पूछेंगे. Rahul Gandhi ji will continue to ask questions. However much they may try to slander him and abuse him, but we will still question, and we will stand for the people of India and the armed forces.
And the questions will continue to be answered, and the road to 2024 will continue to be as turbulent as it is seeming now. We're still in 2022. You can only imagine how much worse it's actually going to get. Thanks very much to all three of you for being with me here on debate number 1 on 5 Live.